Okay, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters. In today's episode, we have a whole ton of insane myths, so just like always, if you have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future episodes of the Fortnite Mythbusters, make sure to go down in the comments and drop a comment of that myth for a pretty good chance to be featured. As well, if you do enjoy today's video at any moment, feel free to consider leaving a like. Let's see if we can smash 2,500 likes on today's episode. That would be insane. As well, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications to never miss another Fortnite Mythbusters episode. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right on in to today's video. Kicking things off, jumping straight into the first myth. The first myth is, do you slide faster while you have the speed boost effect from a hot chili pepper? There's still so much controversy up in the air between whether or not sliding is faster than normally running on the ground. Now, obviously, if you're sliding down a hill, that's faster than running. But on the normal ground, is it faster than normal? Just because of that though, it also raised the question, if you have the hot chili pepper effect, will you slide faster than as if you didn't? Now, testing this myth out, it's very difficult to get it side by side identically, but I tried to do it going down a hill. Left side has hot chili pepper effect, the right side does not. And from multiple different comparisons, multiple different tests, the hot chili pepper seems to have no effect on the actual speed that you go while you are sliding. This is very, very good to know, especially in competitive Fortnite when hot chili peppers are ideal to have in late game purely because of rotation. Going into the next myth is, if you throw a present down next to an armored wall, will the present destroy or replace the wall? Now, this is actually a great myth because the presents, whenever you throw them down, it builds up a box and it'll usually replace metal walls, brick walls, whatever player builds are. But with the armored walls having over 2,000 HP, is it strong enough to replace that as well? Trying this out in game, I basically boxed up my friend who was literally playing his first game of Fortnite. I then threw down the present, surprisingly to see that the armored wall got replaced by the present, turning the 2,500 HP wall into literally 250 HP, making it way more efficient to get out of a metal box if you do get stuck in that situation. This is definitely something to keep in mind, and next time you have a present, you might want to think twice about throwing it down. Going straight into the next myth. The next myth is, will the massive tree log stoke or even light the natural campfires that are located around the map? Now, if you aren't familiar, there's certain trees around the map that you could destroy and it'll actually become a massive tree log that you can move around the map. You can float on it in water, and in this case, you can put it on top of a campfire and something pretty interesting will happen. After a little while destroying the tree and pushing it all the way over to the natural campfire, I finally managed to place it just right next to it, as well as push it on top. And no, it will not stoke the campfire, but the crazy thing that happens is that the fire will transfer from the tree log to another tree, and it could start literally an entire forest fire. The natural campfire will slowly take away at the health on the tree log, eventually breaking it, but it's still something crazy to see. You don't see the fire animation on the tree log, which is a little unfortunate, but it will transfer from building to building, and it's kind of like a little sneaky thing. Going straight into the next myth. The next myth is, can you transform into the foundation using Mystique's special ability? Now, I'm gonna be honest, I totally forgot about the Mystique skin as well as its special ability that it could do, where you can shapeshift into literally any player's skin that you want. Testing this out in game, I made my way all the way over to the foundation, and after a few attempts, I finally managed to eliminate him, where I then used the shapeshift emote, and I did turn into the foundation. It gave me the cape, it gave me the whole player skin. I even picked up the weapon, and my weapon wrap continued over to it. Unfortunately though, the guards that do protect the real foundation, they will see you in disguise. They will trigger onto you if you do any damage to them earlier on in the fight, and it won't work one bit. So you might want to keep this in mind in case you try to fake being the foundation in a future game. Going into the next myth, and highly requested myth. This myth is, will the speed effect from a hot chili pepper make you swing any faster with the SpiderMan mythic? This was a very difficult myth to compare in game side by side, purely because the SpiderMan mythic is so uncontrollable to get them directly side by side, same speed, same test. So when I tried this out, I found a rock, and I basically scoped in my gun and shot at the exact same time in the exact same area, and I held W down on my keyboard, making me swing around in circles. Now, the thing that actually blew me away is that it does not matter if you have the hot chili pepper effect or not. You will swing the exact same speed, which really doesn't make any sense. The hot chili pepper effect gives you a speed boost. While you're swinging the same speed. It would only make sense for you to go slightly faster, but again, the SpiderMan mythic, you could rotate around the entire map within a minute or or two. So it really just depends on how you use it. If you do have the mythics and you do have hot chili pepper, I wouldn't waste it just to swing faster because it doesn't work, obviously. Going into the next myth, is can you place off-road tires onto a quad crasher? Quad crashers actually got vaulted from Fortnite for a very long time, and while they were gone, cars came into the game as well as off-roading tires where you could literally replace the cars. So the quad crashers have tires. Can you replace them and make it an off-roading beast? Unfortunately though, you might just want to stick to the boost on the quad crasher. I tried so many times to throw the off-road tires onto the quad crasher trying to replace it, but it never worked. This totally makes sense because if you shoot the tires on the quad crasher, they will not pop. But if you do shoot the tires on a regular vehicle, they'll pop, allowing you to replace them with the off-road tires. So I totally see why Epic made this not a real thing. But again, I think it would be pretty funny. Going into the next myth, is what happens when you place walls in front of the moving Santa truck? Will it break through? Will it drive around? What exactly happens? Now, the hard part about this myth was actually trying to find the truck driving around the map. When I finally did, they wanted to throw me a present, but I kind of just ditched it. I went in front of them and tried to stop the truck by placing a few walls. I was actually surprised. They stopped for a second. They ran into the walls and they seemed to get annoyed because the passenger in the truck actually got out his weapon and shot the walls until they broke. I then ran ahead a little bit further. I placed down more walls, more barriers, trying to make it so they can't get through as easy this time. But they totally went off-roading in a semi-truck, breaking down a few of the walls and went about their day. So it doesn't really seem like you could stop the Santa truck with regular walls. We might have to test it out with armored walls in the next episode. Going into the next myth, is can you grab items from a distance with the SpiderMan mythic like how you can with a harpoon or even a fishing rod? Now, the SpiderMan mythic is overpowered enough with how fast you could rotate around the map, ditch fights, all of that sort of stuff. So when I tried this myth out, I was shocked. I placed some items down individually as well as some items down in an entire group. With the harpoon, you could pick up an entire group of items at once, but with the SpiderMan mythic, you pick them up one at a time. If you pick up ammo, it'll automatically go into your inventory as well as mats. But if you do pick up just a regular weapon or even a mythical off of the ground, it'll pull it to you. But if you do want to place that weapon or item into your inventory, you're going to have to press your use button, whatever it may be in your keybind. I went into another Spider-Man mythical myth. This myth is what happens if you enter a rift while you're already connected to something with the Spider-Man mythic. Trying this out in game was a little bit difficult, but I managed to do it. First, I wanted to connect the web shooters to the rift itself, which it'll allow you to, but as soon as you get close to the rift, it'll automatically make your player jump and go over it. I then attached the web to a tree or even a rock, swung myself around and continue holding down left click, which is the button to hold the web in my keybinds. It'll teleport you up in the sky and the web will actually stay connected until you glide a little bit away. I then tried this again in another rift, but instead of gliding away, I dove all the way down to the ground. I landed with the web still being connected, but I'm running around. You could also go up to the web, you could inspect it while it's literally just floating there, and it's a pretty cool little experience. It's a side of Fortnite that you don't usually see because you can't really get that close to your web without it disconnecting or you know, getting shot at or something. Going into the big myth, this myth is, will crown victory royales in a custom match count towards your total crown wins? This is a very good myth. To begin, I basically won my last game of Fortnite, giving me the victory crown in my inventory for the next match. I then, you know, had my friend join a solo custom matchmaking game with me where I still continued to have the crown, and we basically landed in the exact same place. It's just me and my friend in the game alone. When I drop the crown and even pick it back up, it'll still show the exact same thing in chat, so it's basically a literal real game. As you can see in this clip, I have only 5 wins. I then eliminated my friend where it showed the animation up on screen showing that I got a crown victory royale. I then did the animation one more time afterwards and the score didn't update. It still stayed at 5. Immediately after that match, I went back into the lobby, still showed 5. I went into a public match and the score never updated. This would be overpowered if it did work, but fortunately it does not.